Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a final look at the Week 4 NFL main slate on Draftkings. We're going to go position by position, quarterback through tight end. Going to talk about some of the key guys I'm looking to target on this Week 4 slate. You know, as the week has gone on, since I recorded my first look video on Tuesday, I've been able to kind of, finalize my player pool a little bit, figure out who I'm really going to be playing come Sunday. You know, I'm recording this video on Friday afternoon. You know, things are not fully locked in. Obviously, we still have a couple more days before the slate starts, but you guys know that I'll be live streaming Sunday morning. If anything crazy happens over the weekend, we'll always be able to discuss that in the live stream Sunday morning. But we'll talk about, who I'm kind of looking to target at each position for this Week 4 main slate. But before we do get started with the breakdown, as always, guys, I would appreciate it if you would click that like button down below. If you are new to the channel here, make sure to click that subscribe button as well. A very large majority of you that watch my videos are not subscribed. It's around 50%. So if you are a part of that 50%, please do hit that subscribe button. It is obviously free. It's not going to cost you anything. So that way, when you subscribe, you'll see my videos right there in your subscription feed. Whenever you log into YouTube, you won't have to search up my name. They'll just be right there for you to watch. So please do hit that subscribe button, and also comment down below. Let me know some of your favorite plays for this Week 4 main slate. I'm always reading the comment section, always trying to interact with you guys. So please do comment down below, any feedback, or if you want to just let me know some of your favorite plays for this slate. I'm always, checking the comments. But let's start off at quarterback, guys. Hit off from the top tier, go down like towards the bottom. Obviously, we're not going to talk about every single player. I don't want this video to be 2 hours long, so I'm just really going to try and key in on the guys that I actually think I'm going to be rostering. So like the top tier quarterbacks, I would say from 7K and above, really all these guys are in play for me. I think the one guy that I'm probably not going to have much exposure to is Lamar Jackson, just because the game environment, the matchup against Denver on the road is not great. Like this Ravens-Broncos game has a pretty low total. It's got one of the lower totals on the slate right now, only a 45 total. I don't think I'm going to be stacking up this game much at all, so I don't really see myself playing a ton of Lamar this week, but, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, Matthew Stafford, all those guys are in play for me. I think my favorite is still Kyler Murray. I talked about Kyler Murray in my first look video. I think he is still my favorite guy to pay up for at quarterback overall. It's kind of been that way just so far this year. Like every week, Kyler Murray is the guy that I like the most at the top, just because I think he has the most upside. I think his floor and his ceiling is the highest out of every quarterback. Just with the rushing upside that he has, the ability to run for 60, 70, 80 yards any week. I know we haven't seen like a big rushing game yet from Kyler Murray, but last year, you saw this guy could run for 100 yards any game. I think he did have one game last year where he actually got the 100-yard bonus and the 300-yard passing bonus. He's got 40-plus point upside. The Rams have a good defense, but this is still a very high total game. It's projected to be a shootout, 54 total between the Rams and Cardinals, second highest on the slate right now. So Kyler Murray is my favorite quarterback overall at the top. But all these guys you obviously could go to. I think Lamar is probably the one that I'm not going to have much exposure to. In terms of ownership, all these guys are projected fairly low owned. Like no one at the top is coming in with more than 10% ownership. The only guy that is projected for more than 10% ownership right now is Josh Allen. Now it's Friday. Obviously things are going to change from now till Sunday morning. But Josh Allen's got 12.6% projected ownership on DK. Every other quarterback above 7K is coming in lower, less than 10%. So I don't think you're going to see too much ownership go to these top tier quarterbacks. Really, when it comes to quarterback, ownership's always spread out anyway. Rarely do you see quarterbacks being massively owned. The highest owned quarterback this week will probably be like 20%, if that. So you can really go to any of these guys in tournaments, in my opinion. It's just going to come down to, who you're stacking, what games you're targeting, what games you're looking to stack up. I think the Cardinals-Rams game might be one of my favorites this week, so that's just automatically going to put me on Kyler Murray and Matthew Stafford for that matter as well. Definitely like Matthew Stafford in, another projected to be high-scoring game. We saw Matthew Stafford have a lot of success last week in what was a high-scoring game against Tampa Bay. I think we could see the same happen this week against Arizona. But now in the 6K range, there's a couple guys here I have interest in. Jalen Hurts at home against Kansas City. That game between the Chiefs and the Eagles actually does have the highest total on the slate right now. Jalen Hurts didn't look great last Monday night against Dallas, but getting a good matchup at home against KC. KC's defense, you can definitely attack them through the air, especially in a game where we probably are going to see the Eagles playing from behind, going to have to throw a lot. Hurts for sure has a lot of upside this week. It's 6,900. I do like Jalen Hurts a lot. He's projecting pretty well for his salary right now, coming in with a projection just over 23 fantasy points. Like he's projected higher than Russell Wilson, he's projected higher than Matthew Stafford. He's projected higher than Lamar. He's even projected higher than Kyler Murray with the projections that I use. So, yeah, the projections are really liking Jalen Hurts this week. I think his ownership might be a little bit higher. You know, he's probably going to come in with double-digit ownership. But I still think Jalen Hurts is a good option at 6,900. You know, Dak Prescott, I think, is a pretty good under-the-radar option. I don't think a ton of people are going to play Dak this week. I do like him, though, at home against Carolina. Carolina's defense been good, but we know Dallas, they play well at home. Their offense always tends to play well at home, and Dak has always been a pretty good quarterback at home. He's got plenty of upside. He's got stacking options, whether you want to go to Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, whoever it may be. You can obviously stack up Dak and then run it back with some Carolina pieces. There's definitely guys on Carolina I have interest in this week. Chuba Hubbard, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, all in play for me. So Dak and Jalen Hurts I like in the 6K range. But then getting down to, 6K and below, like Sam Darnold on the other side of that Cowboys-Panthers game. Sam Darnold's been great this year for fantasy, been super consistent, at least 20 DraftKings points in every game so far. Another good matchup against a pretty mediocre Cowboys defense. I think Sam Darnold at 6K makes a lot of sense. I think Jimmy Garoppolo, just trying to get exposure to a high-scoring game. San Fran, Seattle, third highest total on the slate right now. 52 total between the Cardinals and the 49ers. Or not Cardinals, but the Seahawks and the 49ers. So, Jimmy Garoppolo, his upside is not massive, but in a game that's projected to be high-scoring, I mean, there's definitely a possibility that Jimmy Garoppolo throws for 300 yards and multiple touchdowns this week. And at 5,600, he's not going to be owned. I mean, nobody's going to play Jimmy Garoppolo, I feel like. So if you're just looking to get exposure to a high-scoring game, I think Jimmy Garoppolo makes some sense at 5,600. And then I do want to mention Justin Fields, 5,200. Justin Fields, he's projecting really well for his salary. He's coming in with a pretty high projection for, what his price tag is. Let's see right now. He's projected for just over 20 DraftKings points. He's projecting out as the highest point per dollar quarterback this week. It was the same scenario last week. Fields was one of the top projected values at the quarterback position, and obviously that did not go well. If you play Justin Fields, I had a decent amount of Justin Fields. It didn't go well. He did not do well at all last week. But he gets a much better matchup this week at home against the Lions. I think Justin Fields, if he is starting again, is a really good option at 5,200. I do like going back to him. We don't have an update yet on Andy Dalton. He practiced in limited capacity Thursday, so this will be something to monitor. If Andy Dalton's able to play, he'll probably be the starter. We don't really know, but if Justin Fields does wind up starting again, I think at 5,200 in a better matchup at home against the Lions, Justin Fields is someone I do like as a value quarterback this week. But that's probably it for the quarterback position. Quarterback's a position where you can really spread out your ownership. I don't think you need to, not saying you're going to need to play every single quarterback, but you can play 7, 8, 9 different quarterbacks. If I play 150 lineups, which I've been doing so far this year, I'll usually have exposure to at least 10, 11, 12 quarterbacks. And that might be too much, but I feel like quarterback's a position where the scoring is so condensed. A lot of times every week, quarterbacks are going to score around the same amount of points. Obviously Josh Allen last week had a massive game, went for 40 DK points, but most weeks quarterbacks are scoring anywhere from 25 to 35. The top scoring quarterbacks are scoring between 25 to 35. So it makes sense in my opinion just to get exposure to kind of a bunch of different quarterbacks. I tend to have a pretty narrow player pool, or a pretty wide player pool at the quarterback position. I think that'll probably be the case once again this week, but I tried to kind of condense it down for you guys, really hit on the guys I'm looking to target the most at the position. But let's go ahead and move on to running back now. Talk about the running back position. So at running back, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, I would say are probably the top two options at running back this week. You obviously have Dalvin Cook you could go to as well. But again, we don't really know yet the status of Dalvin Cook for this game at least. He did practice Friday, so that is good to see. Again, guys, I'm recording this video on Friday, so we'll just, we're going to have to monitor this up until Sunday, but I'll be live Sunday morning in case anything changes. We can talk through the slate once again Sunday morning in the live stream. But Derrick Henry and Alvin Kamara, in my opinion, are the two top-tier running backs this week. Right now, Derrick Henry's projecting a little bit better than Kamara. He's coming in with a little bit more ownership as well. I think I actually prefer Alvin Kamara, though, over Derrick Henry this week, especially on DraftKings with the full PPR scoring. We know Alvin Kamara is going to be heavily utilized in the passing game. We know he is going to get a ton of opportunity. The Week 2 game against Carolina, I don't even want to look too much into that one. I mean, the Saints just got steamrolled in that game. Kamara only, touched the ball 12 times. You take out that game, 23 touches Week 1 against Green Bay, 27 touches last week against New England. it seems like this Saints team is going to be feeding Kamara a ton. Like Jameis Winston's not really throwing the ball too much. I don't think he's going to be a guy that's going to go out there and just throw the ball a ton every week. I think they're going to just give Alvin Kamara the ball 20, 25 times every single week, especially if they're playing with a lead, which is probably going to be the case this week at home against the Giants. Kamara could be looking at close to 30 touches this week. We know he's going to get pretty much all the goal line work. The only thing you worry about is the Taysom Hill, like the goal line stuff they like to do with Taysom Hill. That is obviously a concern. We've seen when they do get to the goal line, they'll bring Taysom Hill in. They'll let him run in the touchdown. If you're playing Alvin Kamara, that's just the one thing you got to worry about. But he's probably going to get 20-plus carries. He's going to get 5-6 targets. Good matchup at home against the Giants. I do like Alvin Kamara the most this week. I think of all the expensive running backs, I do slightly prefer him over Derrick Henry. I think he's going to come in with lower ownership than Derrick Henry. And not saying that Derrick Henry's a bad play this week. I just prefer Kamara if I'm paying up at running back. But I would put Derrick Henry, right behind Kamara, especially since we don't have Christian McCaffrey, who's out. Dalvin Cook, though, is probably going to be third behind those guys. Dalvin Cook, look, he's in play every single week. I do worry a bit about his health. Like, we don't really know yet if he's going to be 100% for this game. We don't even know yet if he's actually playing. I assume he's going to play, but we'll have to keep an eye on his status for this game against Cleveland. Matchup against Cleveland's pretty tough. Cleveland's got a good defense. They've got a good run defense. But Dalvin Cook, we know, is another guy that's just going to get massive usage, going to get a ton of carries, going to get pass game work. He's a good option, too. I just prefer, Henry and Kamara. But then you got, like, Aaron Jones against Pittsburgh. I think, like, Aaron Jones will be really low owned. He's coming in with only 5% projected ownership. So anytime you can play Aaron Jones at low ownership, that's fine. But I don't see too much I like, in this range right here, like Aaron Jones, Nick Chubb. Najee Harris, I think, is someone I have interest in. He got a ton of pass game usage last week. He got 19 freaking targets. 19 targets for a running back. I mean, that is something you just never see. 14 carries, 14 receptions. He got 28 touches last week. I think that's obviously a little bit of an outlier. We can't expect Najee Harris to get 28 touches again, but it is very clear that he is going to be a workhorse running back this season. I mean, he's been playing just about every single snap so far this year. I know he played every single snap in week 1. He played 95% of the snaps last week, and he played 95% of the snaps in week 2, and then 95% last week as well. So, I mean, they're going to play Najee Harris basically on every single snap or close to it. Green Bay's kind of been a team you can run on. So far this year, I think they've just kind of been middle of the pack against the run. But Najee Harris, just, the amount of usage he's going to get through the ground and through the air, 6,800, he's definitely someone I am interested in this week in the 6K range. Madison, I would like if Cook's out, but we don't obviously know yet. I think Cook's going to play, so that's probably going to take Madison off the board. Saquon, tougher matchup for him against the Saints, but Saquon should be back to like his workhorse type role. He got 22 touches last week, played on over 80% of the snaps once again. It seems like they're going to be feeding Saquon now. It seems like this injury that he suffered last year is kind of behind him at this point. It's been back-to-back games now that he's played over 80% of the snaps. So, Saquon at 6,700, even though it's a tougher matchup against the Saints, I think Saquon's viable. Zeke at home against the Panthers. The Panthers have been great against the run this year. They've been really stout defensively overall. But Zeke at home for only 6,500. Have some interest in Zeke in that mid-range. Chris Carson, just trying to get exposure to a high-scoring game. Chris Carson, 6,300. Third highest total on the slate right now is this Seahawks 49ers game. So Chris Carson is someone that I will be looking to, I think. Chuba Hubbard, though, I do want to mention, he is expected to take over for Christian McCaffrey and expected to be the lead back for Carolina. It was pretty clear after McCaffrey got injured last week that Hubbard was the guy they wanted to use. He got 14 touches, 11 carries, 5 targets. I don't know if we can expect him to get, Christian McCaffrey's workload. I don't know if we can expect him to get like 25 touches, but I think it's probably likely that he gets 12 to 15 carries, 4 to 5 targets. He'll probably get the goal line work, I would assume. They do have Royce Freeman backing up Hubbard, but Royce Freeman, I think, will just kind of be like a change of pace back. I don't know if he's going to be someone that, they give a lot of touches to. So Chuba Hubbard, obviously DraftKings did a good job. They adjusted his price, but he is still a good option at 5,900 with Christian McCaffrey out this week. He is going to be in my player pool for sure. And then David Montgomery is also going to be in my player pool at home against the Lions. Great matchup for David Montgomery. Week 1, he did pretty well against the Rams. Back-to-back weeks, though, that he's not done great against Cincinnati and against Cleveland. But Really good matchup this week against the Lions. Lions have been a little bit better against the run this year than they have in previous seasons, but this is still a team, in my opinion, that you're probably going to be able to run on. Montgomery should get the workload. He's been a workhorse back, so far this season, and last year he was a workhorse back. He's probably going to get 20-plus touches. It's a game where you expect the Bears to be playing with a lead, so they could be feeding Montgomery, in the second half if they have a big lead. At 5,800, David Montgomery is probably a little bit too cheap for what we can expect in terms of touches, and given the matchup, given the spot at home against the Lions. So I did want to mention him as well in the 5K range. And then I think, CEH was pretty popular last week. He was only 4,600. His price tag's come up a little bit to 5,400, but I think going back to Clyde Edwards-Helaire and what is going to be a high-scoring game against the Eagles, I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is once again in play for me at 5,400. But that's probably it for the running back position. I think we talked about, most of the guys I have interest in. Real quickly, before we do move on to wide receiver, I want to go over to Prize Picks, talk about some picks I do like over on Prize Picks for this Week 4 main slate. Obviously, guys, Prize Picks, they are the sponsor of this video. We partnered up with Prize Picks a while back, like 3 or 4 months ago. I know a lot of you guys have been playing on Prize Picks. You've checked them out. You've been able to have a lot of success. A ton of you guys have signed up for Prize Picks already. I appreciate all of you that, signed up and used my promo code. Obviously, that lets Prize Picks know to continue to sponsor me, continue to sponsor my videos. So if you are new here and you have not checked out Prize Picks yet, check them out. Link down below in the description, or just use promo code Noah when you do sign up for Prize Picks. They're more of a player prop based site. Very simple. You just pick the over or the under on the projections that they have for all their players. So if you have a good lean either way, you pick the over or the under, and you have to make up the 2 picks, but you can do up to 5 picks. You can win up to 10x your money on Prize Picks. So check them out and use promo code Noah when you do sign up. But a couple picks I do like on Prize Picks for this week. Kyler Murray right now projected for 24.5 fantasy points. Now, I'm kind of going against the projections this week. With the projections that I use, he's actually coming in with less than that. I think Kyler's projected for like 20 fantasy points, or 22. Yeah, projected for 22.2 fantasy points right now. So the projections actually side with the under. But I'm going to go against the projections this week. I think this is going to be a big week for Kyler Murray. Good game environment. Expected to be a high-scoring game against the Rams. These are the kind of games I like to target Kyler Murray in. Over 24.5 fantasy points. That's one pick I do like on Prize Picks. And then another one going to ALVIN KAMARA. He's projected for 20 fantasy points. I like the over on that as well. The projections actually do agree with that one. The projections that I use have him projected for 23.1 DK points, so just over this projection. We talked about Kamara, the usage he's going to get on a weekly basis. Good matchup at home against the Giants. Over 20 fantasy points is another pick I like, on Prize Picks this week. And then we'll talk about one more when we get to the wide receiver position. But again, guys, if you want to check out Prize Picks, use promo code Noah when you do sign up there, and you will get your first deposit matched up to $100. But let's go ahead and move on to wide receiver now. So at wide receiver this week, all these top tier options, it's very similar to quarterback. Like, all these top tier guys are in play, basically from TYREEK Hill down to Calvin Ridley. Everyone 7K and above is going to be in play for me. We will need to keep an eye on the status of DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Right now, they're both listed as questionable. Metcalf was added to the injury report on Thursday he practiced in limited capacity Thursday. And then Tyler Lockett was held out of practice Thursday. I assume both of these guys play, but that will at least be something to monitor heading up to Sunday. But all these, like TYREEK Hill against the Eagles, TYREEK Hill coming off a bad game last week against the Chargers. Really, he's coming off back-to-back bad weeks against Baltimore and against the Chargers. TYREEK Hill's going to bounce back at some point. This dude has massive upside. We know he can go out there and put up like 150 yards and 2 touchdowns any week, really. He's probably the highest upside receiver in the league right now, in my opinion. TYREEK Hill is going to be in my player pool every single week, especially in lineups that have Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to have a lot of TYREEK Hill. So TYREEK Hill might be my favorite of all the top tier receivers, but really all these guys are in play. Even like Davante Adams, he's projecting really well, even against the Steelers. Like Davante Adams coming in just, his projection just right there with TYREEK Hill. He's projected to get a good amount of ownership, but I think for good reason. Davante Adams just going to get massive volume. He got 18 freaking targets last week. Probably going to get double-digit targets on a weekly basis. Cooper Kupp's been absolutely balling this year. It feels weird paying $7,800 for Cooper Kupp, but man, the dude's been so good. It's a good matchup at home against the Cardinals. I'm going to have some Cooper Kupp for sure. I think I'll be under the field. Like right now, he's still projecting to be one of the highest owned receivers this week. I'll probably be underweight on Cooper Kupp and just play some of these other guys that aren't getting as much ownership. But still, in lineups that have Matthew Stafford, in lineups where I'm stacking the Rams, I'm going to have some Cooper Kupp exposure for sure. DeAndre Hopkins is a little bit of a tougher matchup against Jalen Ramsey. He will probably be shadowed by Jalen Ramsey, but I think that's going to make his ownership really low. He's coming in with less than 1% ownership right now. So if you want to play just the low-owned receiver, DeAndre Hopkins this week is expected to be that guy. He's projected to be very, very low-owned. He's not projecting really well either, but again, projections, are just projections. A guy can be projected badly and do really well. So you never know there. I think, if you want to play a low-owned DeAndre Hopkins, that definitely makes some sense in what should be a, high-scoring game against the Rams. But let's talk about some other guys, in the 6K range. CeeDee Lamb, DJ Moore, this Carolina-Dallas game I do have a good amount of interest in. So I think CeeDee Lamb, DJ Moore, Amari Cooper, all these guys in the 6K range look really good. DJ Moore projecting really well for his salary. He's projecting pretty well, points per dollar-wise. He's got one of the highest projections of all these 6K receivers, and I think, out of all the 6K receivers, DJ Moore is actually projecting the best. So 6,600, I think DJ Moore, looks like a really good option against the Cowboys. We're going to have to keep an eye on the status of Julio Jones and A.J. Brown. Right now, both these guys are their statuses are up in the air. We don't really know. Julio Jones did not practice Thursday. I don't think A.J. Brown practiced either. Yeah, he was sidelined for Thursday's practice, so this is going to be something to monitor. If in a scenario where Julio Jones and A.J. Brown are both out, I don't even know who Tennessee has behind those guys. It's a good matchup, too, against the Jets. But, so Chester Rogers, Josh Reynolds, Westbrook, Keene, these guys, I guess these guys will become playable in a scenario where Julio and A.J. Brown are both out. Just because, at this point, these guys are going to get targets. The two guys that you would expect to get all the targets would be out in that scenario. So, yeah, in a scenario where we get Julio and A.J. Brown both out, if that does happen, I don't think it's going to happen, but if it does, Chester Rogers would probably be my favorite of the Tennessee receivers, probably followed behind Westbrook, and then I don't know if I'd really be playing anyone else, but I think Rogers and Westbrook would both be pretty good values in a scenario where Julio and A.J. Brown are both out. But yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that heading up till Sunday. I assume probably one of the two guys will at least play. If not both of them, they'll both probably play. But then, some other guys, not too much else stands out in the 6K range. I think we can move down to, the 5K range. There's some guys I do have interest in here. First one, Odell Beckham Jr., 5,800. Odell Beckham obviously made his season debut last week against Chicago, and, he wasn't too limited. He played a good amount of the snaps, I do believe. He got 9 targets, he played 64% of the snaps. He was targeted 9 times. Obviously, without Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham is going to be the number 1 target for Baker Mayfield. He should lead the team in targets on a weekly basis while Jarvis Landry remains out. Good matchup this week against Minnesota. I think as the season progresses, Odell's just going to keep playing more snaps. He's going to start to get, he's going to start to get a full workload in. 64% of the snaps, I don't think that's something we can expect from Odell on a weekly basis. I think that number is going to slowly start to increase. Obviously, he doesn't really have any worries heading into this game. He was a full participant in practice. Should be good to go. I don't know if he's going to be an every down receiver, but I think we can expect Odell to play more than 64% of the snaps. And without Jarvis Landry, he should get a good amount of targets at 5,800. I think that is too cheap for Odell Beckham in a good matchup against Minnesota. So I do like Odell a lot at 5,800, and I do like his prop over on Prize Picks. That's the third pick I like for this Week 4 slate. Odell currently projected for 13 fantasy points. He obviously went over that number last week. I think he goes over that number once again this week. So over 13 fantasy points, that's the last pick I do like on Prize Picks for this Week 4 slate. And again, if you guys want to tail me, you can sign up for Prize Picks. You can use these 3 picks, or you can check out their board and you can make a couple more picks for yourself. But do check out Prize Picks if you have not yet, and make sure to use promo code NOAH when you do sign up, so that way you will get your first deposit match up to $100 over on Prize Picks. But yeah, Odell Beckham at 5,800, I like a lot this week. I think he's a really good option in the 5K range. I think Robert Woods is my second favorite option in the 5K range. I was very high on Robert Woods last week. He didn't have that good of a game, but he should continue to get good volume. I know he hasn't been nearly as good as Cooper Kupp this year, but the opportunity is still there for Robert Woods. He's still an every down receiver. He's still projecting very well for his salary. He's coming in with pretty high ownership, as you would expect, but he's projected for over 16 DraftKings points, which is really, really good for a $5,300 receiver. So I think Robert Woods is a really good option once again. Even though he burned me last week, I'm going to go back to Robert Woods. I like Christian Kirk a lot, especially if we think DeAndre Hopkins is going to be shadowed by Jalen Ramsey. That could mean more opportunity for Christian Kirk, more opportunity for Rondale Moore. Both these guys I do have interest in, especially in lineups that have Kyler Murray, where I'm looking to stack up the Cardinals. Christian Kirk's going to be someone I go to for sure. And again, if you want to go to Rondale Moore, he's only 4,600. I think he's also a guy you could look to in your Kyler Murray stacks. But that's probably it for wide receiver. We talked about those cheap Tennessee guys. If in a scenario where Julio and A.J. Brown are out, you could go to those guys for value. Did want to mention Corey Davis, 5K. I did talk about Corey Davis in my first look video. I still do have a good amount of interest in Corey Davis this week. Good matchup against Tennessee. Another game, where the Jets are probably going to be playing from behind. The Jets are going to be playing from behind almost every single week. I think at 5K, Corey Davis should be the #1 target for this Jets offense. Pretty much every single week. Should get close to double-digit targets, especially in game scripts where they are playing from behind, which will probably be the case this week. I do like Corey Davis at 5K. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to tight end. We'll quickly break down the tight end position before we end the video. So at tight end, when it comes to the top, Travis Kelce is going to be in play every single week. At this point, I don't even want to talk about Travis Kelce because you guys know you can play Travis Kelce every single week. It's just a matter of, fitting him into your lineup. You're probably going to have to sacrifice at some position. You're going to have to go cheap somewhere to get Travis Kelce in, but he's projected, head and shoulders above the rest of the tight end position. I do like George Kittle, though, but we're going to have to keep an eye on his status as well. George Kittle, another guy, we don't know yet if he's going to play come Sunday. He did not practice on Thursday. We got report from Shanahan that his status is just up in the air. Like, they don't really know right now. So if Kittle plays, I like him a lot at 5,900 against the Seahawks in what should be a pretty high-scoring game. If he's out, though, I don't even know who's the backup tight end for the 49ers. I need to check this real quick. I don't even know if they're going to utilize their backup tight end. Yeah, it'd probably be like Ross Dwelley, and we've seen Ross Dwelley kind of step into that every down tight end role whenever Kittle was out, but I don't know if Ross Dwelley really has any upside. He's only 2,500 though, so I guess he would at least be a viable punt option in a scenario where Kittle does not play this week. But some other tight ends you could go to outside of Kelce and Kittle, who are obviously in play every single week, like Kyle Pitts. I know he hasn't done anything this year, but I think the big game is coming at some point. He's getting all the opportunity. He's playing a ton of snaps. He's getting the targets. He's going to eventually pop off at some point. So Kyle Pitts at 5K, I do have interest in. Logan Thomas against the Falcons, good matchup for him, 4,900. I have some interest in Logan Thomas. Tyler Higbee, I still think is one of the better values at tight end if you're looking to go a little bit cheaper. He's not coming in with much projected ownership at all. Really, tight end right now, the ownership's kind of spread out. Right now, the highest owned tight end is expected to be George Kittle, and that's only 14%. So ownership for the most part is going to be pretty spread out at tight end this week, it seems like. If you want to go to Travis Kelce and George Kittle, you could obviously do that. But some of these cheaper guys I do have interest in, like a Tyler Higbee, who's been an every down tight end this year. Finally had a good game last week against Tampa Bay and another good matchup this week against Arizona in what should be a high-scoring game. I do have interest in Tyler Higbee. Noah Fant, I think 4,300 you could definitely go to. He's projecting pretty well for his salary. I think Noah Fant looks like a decent value. I think Zach Ertz, he had a decent game last week against the Cowboys, got 7 targets. If they're going to utilize Zach Ertz that much, if they're going to give him 5, 6, 7 targets in a good matchup against Kansas City in what should be a high-scoring game, in a game that you expect the Eagles to be playing from behind and throwing a lot, Zach Ertz at 3,500, I definitely like for value if you're looking to go a little bit cheaper. The last guy I want to mention is Evan Engram. He's only 3K. Evan Engram, it's only been 1 game so far that we've seen him. He obviously didn't do much last week against Atlanta, but 3K is very, very cheap for Evan Engram, especially if, some of these Giants receivers don't play this week. Let's see. Last time I checked, Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton, they obviously got injured last week, and they were both questionable heading into this week. I don't know if we have an update yet on those guys. So Kenny Golladay, limited participant in Thursday's practice. Sterling Shepard, he wasn't seen at Friday's practice, so that's not good if he didn't practice Friday. And then Darius Slayton appears unlikely to play. So, yeah, in a scenario where the Giants don't have, Golladay, Shepard, Slayton, really, if any of those guys sit, that's going to be a boost for Evan Engram. And Evan Engram is 3K. So, yeah, Evan Engram actually might be one of the better values at tight end this week, especially if Golladay, Shepard, Slayton, if one of those guys, even 2 of those guys, doesn't play this week. We should expect a lot of targets for Evan Engram, and he's 3K. So he actually might be my favorite value tight end this week. I definitely overlooked him a little bit, but he's projecting really well right now. He's actually projecting decently owned. I mean, he's coming in with 11% ownership, which is second highest of all the tight ends on this slate. But it's kind of makes sense for 3K with all the injuries to the Giants receivers right now. Hard not to like Evan Engram at that 3K price point. But yeah, that probably does it for tight end. I think we kind of touched on most of the tight ends I'm looking to. Obviously, Kelsey and Kittle at the top, and then like Kyle Pitts, Logan Thomas, HIGBEE, Zach Ertz, Evan Engram. Those are the other guys I'm considering at tight end this week. But yeah, guys, that does it for this video. I think we basically touched on, kind of my player pool this week, the guys that I have interest in, the guys that I expect to have the most exposure to come Sunday. But as always, guys, we'll be live Sunday morning. Make sure to tune into the live stream. I'll probably go live sometime around 12 o'clock Eastern, sometime around noon, about an hour before kickoff, breaking down the slate with you guys, answering any of your last-minute questions. So be sure to tune into the live stream Sunday morning. Check out PrizePicks before you do get out of here. If you have not signed up for PrizePicks yet, use promo code Noah. When you do sign up over there, you can tell me on the picks that I gave out in this video, or you can make some of your picks yourself. But be sure to use promo code Noah when you do sign up for PrizePicks, so that way you get your first deposit matched up to $100. But that does it for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and comment down below. Let me know some of your favorite plays for this week 4 slate. And yeah, guys, best of luck this week. Hopefully, I will see you Sunday morning in the last minute live stream. Good luck, guys. Peace.